Yes. That's the answer. I have another topic. Since I don't know. I feel like I finished mine. Did you finish yours?
Yeah, no,
That was good. Really I've got a meaty one that I wanna get your opinion on.
Meaty claws?
Yes, sure. So, I feel like that would have worked if you just have to be aware of the camera that's in there, I guess.
Running through lasers would have worked?
No. The thing I did, I crawled through the vent, and you can walk behind them. It was behind Big Knuckles.
Big Knuckles?
The guy with the big gun. So he's down the hallway. So let him pass you and then give him one. Or I guess you can give him one now. Ah! He heard you. It didn't stop him. Like, seriously. They had advanced warning of that, and they're wearing that armor, and it just doesn't matter. So, yeah, get him out of the open. Why not? You'd think, why couldn't we should be able to pull a hitman and actually change into his outfit, and then we'd be able to walk around free. Well, anyways, I forgot what I was just saying. I was going to start a new topic. Did I start it yet?
No.
Did I say, was I finishing something?
You didn't say anything useful. You started in about this weird nonsense.
Oh, I was, yeah. All right, whatever. I watched a video that led to another YouTube viral.
I got the call back.
And it led me into an interesting sort of thinking. Whoa. What? Panchaea. Oh, that's foreshadowing something that's going to happen later. So if you sneak through here, they won't notice because they're focusing on the computer. But you do have to be aware of the cameras outside the door. I don't know if they swivel or not, so that camera does not appear to swivel. Well, okay, you're just going to do the same thing I did. Because that door doesn't open either. Well, try to open it. At least figure out how it opens. If it opens at all. It doesn't appear to. Well, so this was...
They opened me. So this strategy
is imperfected. Well, then we'll have to try something else. I probably have to take those guys out and then they probably are at the console that opens those doors or something like that.
All right, I've been sitting here, promised a steak, and you just been lobbing all this broccoli at me.
I'm trying to solve a problem. I gotta get
some broccoli.
I need some ducks in my row first. Okay.
Ain't nobody told me nothing about ducks. I wanted beef.
I want a steak. Don't serve me quail. Anyways, here's your freaking steak. Here's your share of the steak, Lyle. Now the couch is making funny noises. I watched a video, and it was a bit of a clickbaity thing, so I let me defend myself.
There is no defense. He just told you so.
That was the funniest. Let me defend myself. I think not.
Choo choo.
Okay, that was good.
There is no defense.
There's no defense for watching clickbait. I know.
That is the definition of it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No, it doesn't. Here's my reasoning, and I admit that it's faulty, but it did lead to a positive discovery, so you got to at least give it that. It said the title of it was why this game is this. I think it's like the scariest game ever made, or some very exaggerated claim. And I was like, I knew at first. I was like, well, okay, whatever. This is just a review of a random game. Because I know the internet well enough to know this is... All you wanted to do was give a review of this game and you needed something inflammatory.
You've been here a long time.
So I was like... so I wasn't expecting like, oh, this is the best game ever. I was just thinking, oh, it's this guy talking about a game. And since I've been interested in random people recommending me things, he's recommending you some things. I can recommend 1,200 things a second. Or 12,000 things a minute. They're all... That gun.
Okay.
They're behind you too. He can... Well, okay. I don't think you're going to get your way out of this, but you can certainly try. Here comes big friend. Here comes 12,000 things for you to consider every minute.
I thought I had at least some sort of grenade or something.
No, we were out of grenades, unfortunately. We need some more.
I I agree.
But the thumbnail is what made me curious, because I wasn't expecting like, oh,
what game was this?
Well, it's apparently this game called Iron Lung, and I will read to you the synopsis, which literally appears at the title screen, so it's not really a spoiler. But apparently, the central framing of it is, for no adequately explored reason, every planet in the solar system vanished instantly. So the only survivors were people who are on interplanetary shuttles. So it's like a futuristic thing. So there's like people on space stations, anyone who was in a spaceship at the time, they're the only people who've survived. And so you get sent to this moon, one of the few surviving planets that is uninhabited. So this guy's right here. And, and you, like, it sounds absurd, but apparently this planet is entirely covered, or at least mostly covered, by oceans of what appears to be blood. And so they're sending you as an exploration of like, what the heck is this about? Because it's the only planet that's left, and it appears to be.
They're sending you because they don't like you. And
yes, apparently it's like you're
expendable.
You were a prisoner, and basically this is their way of saying if you survive this, you can be free. So you get sent to this thing to explore what is actually exploring the depths of this ocean of blood to figure out. I don't know what, because it didn't actually say what. I actually didn't end up watching the whole video because I was so intrigued after the first little bit. I was like, I kind of want to play this now, because it's apparently an indie game. It was fairly, I think it's like $10 or something cheap. I was like, that's enough that I'd consider actually buying it and just seeing what it's about. So that's the only thing I know about it, other than the fact that it's literally the most of the game takes place with you. In this, the name of this ship submarine that you're in is called the Iron Lung, because that's the name. That's where the name comes from, and it's just you wandering, basically hopeless, attempting to survive, despite the fact that you know you very likely are not going to. And the thing that made me, this is what sparked. I figured they were going to start wandering. I think I need that computer to open those doors, though. So I don't think I have a choice.
The thing that sparked what?
The thing that sparked this rabbit trail specifically, I have energy bars, great, I can take them out both, was the tag on Steam referred to it as a dread-heavy horror game. He didn't even notice that I did that to his friend. I didn't have to waste my energy. Well, thanks for that. What? Oh, okay, a password. This might still be useful. Well, I was hoping for a passcode that would open the door, but I guess that a passcode that does something else might be useful. Hey, I don't need machine pistol ammo. I don't have a machine pistol. Whatever. So, Dread Heavy, I think, the thing that made me think about it is, isn't that what all horror should be? Why does it need... why is that a clarification when it should just be obvious? Because
there's some movies that are horror that I would argue.
Well, but this is where I would disagree. I would say that when you think about it, those aren't horror movies. I would say that we probably should be categorizing those kinds of things as thrillers and like slasher movies. I'm supposed to be able to type.
But how is a slasher movie much different from early horror? I mean,
no, but this is what I would say. This is the classic sort of dichotomy, as it were, amongst the people who sort of discuss this, that I see sometimes online as part of, because I mean, obviously I like things like H.P. Lovecraft and sort of older gothic horror stuff, and I think, I don't want to hack it, I wanted to enter. Is it going to make me type it in? It's going to make me type it in again. Is the distinction should be made between what is terror and what is horror. And I would argue most of what modern stuff is all terror-based. It's direct threat, something's chasing you, you're about to die, and that's uninteresting.
Right.
At least to me, because that's when I used to, because I say...
The suspense, part of the draw, I think, of an actually well-designed horror film.
This camera's going to stay on.
The kind of build-up of you're beginning to hear more things, you are aware that the
Yeah, but even then, the thing, because this applies to, I think, movies, games, everything about this. I think this applies Dude. This dude did the screw the water bottle challenge. That's the most intense thing ever. That's hilarious. We do not condone trying this as a challenge, because that will lead to many shot off toes. But that's really a humorous glitch. I'm going to attempt to run anyways, because I can't turn off the cameras, but the cameras don't matter when you can run quickly. There's lasers in here. That's fun. I think that... I forgot the point I was about to make. That's what I think. It had something to do with terror versus horror, the distinction between them. And I think... yes, because you were bringing up the concept of like the mounting suspense and how that can be ineffective. But here's the thing. Once the scare happens, the tension's gone. And that's a deliberate element of... I mean, that's the downfall, I think, of a lot of games, especially because the games are the ones that you're trying... Oh, dang it! How did they... I mean, I guess it was bound to happen eventually, but how did this happen? You all kind of suck a little.
Just a little.
I don't know you personally. Maybe it's not a lot, but...
Maybe you don't actually suck at all.
This... Well, that... I don't like the look of this. I probably can't punch that. It's playing hide-and-go-seek with me, and I don't like it. Ow! Yeah, they got me into the... wow, that was clever. Send the molestation droid and let him flee. Yeah, that I think is the issue, is that once the scare happens, like once the thing jumps out or once the killer is, once there's the chase, everyone freaks out and then it goes back down and the tension's gone.
Well, it's a little bit like John Mayer actually described this when he was talking to a class at Berkeley. He was talking about
horror films?
No, not about horror films, but about this idea of, like, within his art form, the idea that you don't want to...
Well, the argument is tension and release. I agree.
Exactly.
But I wonder... Because here's the thing. I don't like the panic-inducing, like, the thing jumps out, now you have to run away, and then once you're safe, now you're fine. That to me just feels cheap, because I'm like, you can scare anybody by surprising them, and you can scare anybody by threatening them. So it's not easy. Like, that just feels like cheap.
Yeah, it's more about creating a character that's actually...
I suppose the problem I'm having is, I'll give the example that I think of a successful example and use it to explain what I think the distinction ought to be. That lasers, they reach the whole room. Well,
good thing I'm up here.
Well, it was too late.
I cheated the system, and now...
And by that, I mean they found me. Well, I suppose this will work probably once. Make it count. There you go. You made it count, and the count was 1. So I don't know if this is... I don't feel like we're chirping the lasers. Maybe this just happens. Maybe... I mean, I imagine they can't expect us to get through the whole thing without tripping anything. But here's the example that I would set as the gold standard, at least of the things I've read. I'm not saying it's the best it could be, because I'm not well read on this either. But... the case of Charles Dexter Ward, which is the only full-length novel H.P. Lovecraft ever wrote, I think has the most effective horror climax as opposed to a terror climax. And I'm continuing that distinction because I think it's the right way forward. But the difference is, you haven't read that yet. Have you read anything with his yet? That book? Because that's actually the one you quoted without knowing what it was from a while back.
The Lovecraftian one? Or?
Well, no, it was this specific book. You said the quote that you said it was something you found on Facebook or something.
Was it Call of Cthulhu?
The quote was, you didn't say what the quote was from. You just said it was a Lovecraft quote, and it was when I was reading this that I realized what it actually was.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's from this book, and it's so essentially, without spoiling, it's acting like I'm tripping something when I step here, and I don't think I am, but I mean, I guess I don't have much of a chance. There's this doctor character who is investigating the titular Charles Ward. He's the sort of guy who, as all Lovecraft protagonists are, he goes mad with ancient knowledge and whatnot. Right. But there's these catacombs under his house that he's exploring, And he ends up in this room with a bunch of tiles in the floor that have weird sort of perforations and holes in them. And the whole room smells like awful, like death things, naturally.
Okay.
And so here's the moment that I think is super effective, is he hears this bizarre wail, like this bizarre screaming sound. And he ends up lifting one of these tiles because they're loose. And he realizes that every tile that has holes in it is basically a hatch to effectively like a cage in the floor.
Huh.
And in the cages in the floor are these horrifically malformed creatures that are basically failed attempts to raise the dead, which is what Charles Ward was doing. So they're like these hideous creatures, and they're not
Full Metal Alchemist.
Now it's a little bit like that in terms of that's how he describes them. They're these hideously disformed, semi-people looking things. But the thing is, he's lifted the top off of this thing. It still can't reach him. It's still trapped there. And it can't get out. But the thing that you realize is every tile that has one of these holes on it is the sort of roof to one of these things' cages. And he's been walking on it this whole time. And once he looks into it and sees the thing, he drops his flashlight. The room goes dark. And he now has to crawl because he doesn't want to fall into the one he's just opened. So he's having to crawl away from it over the holes that he knows lead to these other things. And I'm sitting there going, you know that he's not in any actual danger because most of these things are contained and the only one that's open he can't get out. But nonetheless, it's like that doesn't change the fact that this is a really incredibly frightening, intense scene, despite the fact that there's no presence of danger.
Right.
And I think that's where the relevance is that I think terror is focused entirely on it's fear, or I think sometimes even in the cheapest sense, I think it can be a disgust thing where it's like, oh, watch this person get ripped up in horrible ways. Doesn't that make you feel queasy? And it just feels cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am tripping it. It's the timing on that is weird. Whereas to make someone afraid of something that they know logically they're not actually in any danger from, that I think is what takes some effort, because it's not easy to do that.
Sure.
Hi guys, that was my fault. I got my controls confused.
Hey you guys.
And so that's where I think, because that's a dread scene where you're going, yes, he's not in danger, but he's crawling over these basically crypts full of half-formed monsters that are like undead whatever.
Right.
And that's just like, this is gross, and it feels, I think there's this sort of, I mean, this is often what Lovecraft describes, is there's just the sense of like wrongness. Like, it's not that I'm in danger from this thing, it's the fact that this thing exists is like a perversion of nature to such an extent that I can't, it just makes you innately unsettled.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is interesting about it.
Well, it's less one-dimensional. Again, it's the idea that you're creating an entire character.
Yes, everyone's going to be. Everyone would be
threatening.
afraid if a creepy-looking monster thing was chasing them.
Right.
But the thing that Lovecraft did a lot was it's like, yeah, I don't think that was going to work.
Well,
Playing jump rope.
It was worth the shot.
Well, make the rest of these worth the shot then.
Okay, I didn't mean to pop out.
I think it's just that sense of like this is a perversion of nature to such an extent that's where the dread comes from.
Well, that's why I actually hated like of all the scenes in Full Metal Alchemist that I actually despised the whole weird. The whole
I don't remember you having this strong of an opinion about it.
Yes, I did.
Despise
the whole weird chimera thing on both Brotherhood and the original were like, no.
What chimera? There's several. You're gonna have to narrow that down.
I'm talking about the one,
the girl,
dad, and the.
Well, that's naturally but that's an example.
But that's again such
exactly
horror that you.
But that is horror as opposed to terror. That's where I think the difference is, because I think if you were to go through all of the famous horror films, what is the source of the scary? Is it something actually attempting to murder us in horrific ways, or is it? I don't even know if there's a succinct way to put it. Is it just that sense of like innate natural wrongness?
Right.
Now, I'm curious because it was after this is part of the rabbit trail, I started seeing, there was like video essays for various films. One of them was Annihilation, which came out a little while ago. Which is, at least the person was purporting that it was something akin to this, where it wasn't a matter of the horror being a source of danger as much as it was like the alien sort of corruption, the corrupting presence of some kind of alien artifact. I don't actually know what it is about. Hey, that worked! Okay, we're off to a better start now. So I can't confirm whether or not that's an apt recommendation, but I'm just curious about this now because it makes me wonder. Because as described, like when they were describing the game, I was thinking this actually sounds interesting to me. Whereas I am not a horror person by most standards.
Right.
So then I'm thinking, well, is that because I don't... Because when I would think, why don't I like horror movies, it's because I don't like the weird panic, tension, and it's all just about you're getting chased by something, and it's I don't enjoy... I'm not an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that laser most absolutely did touch me, and the game didn't catch it, so I'm going to just take that as a win, but I will point it out. Now, these overlap in a very difficult way to mitigate. So, I don't know. I'm curious to play this game now. I want to watch this movie, because if I find stuff that is really like this, more of the kind of existential dread thing, I mean, maybe that probably also says something not terribly flattering about me, but that would actually interest me.
Well, I mean, it's like the same reason that people watch true crime type shows where it's like you're not watching because you're going to be jump scared in any particular moment. As far as documentary,
well, that's actually
it's more just a horror of going, how did somebody
the
do
horror,
this?
That's the thing.
Is it Dahmer that did the whole skin lamps, or was that?
No, that was the other guy. Dahmer's the one who's got the Netflix special out now, though. So I mean, it's still relevant. I wonder if I should just crawl over this because these overlap.
Because there are certainly times that, like I was watching one the other day that was like, it was a documentary on the world's youngest serial killer, and she was literally like, it was a girl, and she was literally like 8. And she was killing like neighborhood kids, like luring these 3-4-year-olds. I'm going, that's psychotic. What?
Well, but see, that's where I think the distinction that needs to be drawn is it's not the threat of the thing; it's the existence of the thing itself.
Right.
I didn't coin this, but I still think it's the best.
Which kind of comes back to the Lovecraftian a little bit.
Yes, I mean,
I would argue that Hitchcock is more Lovecraftian, arguably.
I don't know enough to say that, but that doesn't sound right to my ears.
Because
they were very much. He's arguably sort of the quintessential slasher film. At least some of them are.
Maybe I'm not familiar.
I mean, Psycho is definitely. I mean, that's literally. Well, that's where the whole violin squeaking and the. Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
So I haven't seen enough of his... Hey, did we do it? Oh, we did it. And we didn't set off the alarms that time. That's cool.
No, you got a point. He is probably...
I don't know enough about it. Maybe some of his other movies touch on that. I wouldn't know. But I'm just curious because... Oh, yeah. I wasn't the one who coined this phrase.
Okay, she
is...
Is she an alien?
No,
she looks something straight out of Star Wars. Hello, Queen Amidala. I didn't know you were in this game.
What are you doing in this genre? She is the head of the Chinese
I was about to say,
company that is in competition with us.
She's the head of the Naboo? Is that what she is?
She's the queen of Naboo. It's cyberpunky. People wear weird stuff all the time.
Misa. I'm just playing.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes, no. I didn't coin this phrase, so I don't get to take credit for it. But someone, I think, said, and they said it that terror is... Oh, did I already say it? I think I already said it. It's the monster chasing you versus the monster existing. And it doesn't even have to be a monster. It could just be like... Because the Lovecraft thing was all about, these sort of alien... ancient beings that were like transcendent and above all thing. Oh, okay, this seems like a shift of
tone.
Yeah, that went. Apparently the hardcore security corridor of death was just down the hall from the men's room. Is it literally the men's room? Oh, okay, no. Well, whatever. So I don't. It doesn't have to be like these cosmic. Oh, I learned that there's these ancient beings that are existed eons before us, and that drove me mad. Because I think some of the things that try to copy Minecraft try to copy Lovecraft sort of just go, I went insane when I learned that there were aliens, and it's like, well, that wasn't exactly the point he was trying to make. But I mean, I suppose you're
that's
trying.
That's a very
what's suspicious
white bread interpretation of what he was.
Well, what do you mean? Do you mean milk toast or white bread? Because those aren't exactly the same
milk
thing.
Milk toast, whatever. It's a very watered down.
Yes. Well, this is the other thing I saw. This was actually just today. There was a breakdown of a bunch of, quote, Lovecraftian games and why Lovecraftian games often don't do well. Or at least it was like a theory. Something tells me this door's just going to be locked because what?
Well, there's certainly not a lot of that necessarily.
Well, that was but
potential for Lovecraft.
I agree with even the guy who said it was going. Yeah, you could make the argument that it was a visual, that his was a written formula and this is visual, so it doesn't transfer. That feels lazy. I think you can find ways to do it.
100%.
But he mentioned several games that I have heard of because they're why? What's around? I'm almost there. None of this, please. You got it. You probably want to close the distance to your enemy before you start shooting. Yeah, hi, it's too late. I'm in the boardroom taking a dump on your seats.
Last night got really out of hand.
Someone took a dump on the boss's computer. Oh, boy, they got higher powered stuff. So, recent games that have come out where, there's actually a Call of Cthulhu game, which is based off of The Shadow over Innsmouth, which maddens me.
I did not
That's
know that.
maddening. You called the game Call of Cthulhu and based it off of The Shadow. Everyone knows The Shadow over Innsmouth. You could have just called it The Shadow over Innsmouth. It's not yes, Call of Cthulhu is probably the most famous of the names of his books. But anyone who knows Lovecraft knows The Shadow over Innsmouth, so you could have just called it that. So that bothered me. And I had heard of these. They came out a while back, and they weren't well received because they're not great. But
in what way? They're just kind of...
They try to make them into video games where it's like you actually fight eldritch abominations. It's like that doesn't happen because the point is not that they're threats. Again, it's not the fact that, this thing wants to eat you. It's like, no, this is a thing that shouldn't exist. It defies nature itself. That's where the horror lies. It's not because, you have to shoot it before it kills you. Even in the books when there is a terror element where it's like, there's actually being chased by something, it's not the point. And you certainly don't fight back against it and win. That was the argument that is slightly better with the video game aspect. It's like, video games, I got you through that room with no alerts, and you just poked your head in and went, you missed me!
Hi!
Oh, he was clever. He opened fire. He shot through the door.
He did.
What? And they were dragging you around. That was gross.
Well, I feel like...
They were giving you the treatment you gave their buddies.
With Lovecraft, it's more the kind of severe... I think I suppose the austerity of the actual story, where it's like, okay, that's just intense, purely, for the sake of that. That to me is a different kind of feeling.
Well, it's less the dread feeling.
Dread. I mean, sure,
it feels perhaps over. I don't know. I feel like dread can apply to more than the things we think of it. I think we have a very, again, watered down view of it where we think dread's like, I'm dreading going to the DMV.
No, I'm not talking about
that's not what dread really means.
I'm talking dread like
existential dread, like something is wrong and I don't know, I have nothing I can do about it.
No, that is true. Yeah, that part definitely is.
Okay, so they were, yes, the window to the security building would probably be where they saw me from. Well, tee-hee, I guess. Which way did I go? I'm going to go a different way this time. This door's locked.
Not Call of Cthulhu. What's the other one I'm thinking of? It's the one that I recently read, and it's obnoxious that it's not coming to me.
Book or game, or what are you talking about?
It was a book.
These guys trundle funny. Come on, pal.
It's not going to come to me.
Ah, wow, they got guns that are good. Well, can I play your turn while you're looking it up?
Sure.
Because you literally went for that right when I was about to hand it to you. Yeah, and so the games that I actually thought were interesting inclusions, some were ones that I had never heard of, which I will also probably check out. But they actually had Darkest Dungeon on there, which is one of them, which that was one of the ones that was more of a honorable mention because it's definitely got Lovecraft inspirational elements. And even the story, I think, to an extent, it sounds like the kind of story that could have happened in a Lovecraft book. But the gameplay is because it's so gameplay focused and the story is a secondary thing. That was the argument he made. It's like it doesn't exactly count as a best Lovecraft game because there's so much non-Lovecraft in it. Not that that's bad. I actually agree with his opinion was basically that the because it had a solid enough foot to stand on without the Lovecraft stuff just elevated it in a way that was unique rather than being the sole thing to support it. But he also mentioned Sunless Sea, which is a game I think we're going to have to do that.
We do have to
because
do that.
I've been hesitant because of the fact that it really doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would record well. But after last week, or I guess by the time this comes out, it would be 2 weeks after the stupid winemaking game. I feel like anything could be recorded and be better than that. So. Yeah, I'm gonna have since we're gonna have to start vetting videos going forward. I'm gonna rely on games I know are good.
Well, we are gonna also have to use the Raspberry Pi because I do want to actually.
I want to get back in. Well, we can also. I can just get an emulator going.
Well, but the fact it is a.
Yes, it is, but I'm saying we can capture natively if I get it on my computer. So why not just do that?
Because the Raspberry Pi is infinitely more effective because there's thousands.
How much did your Raspberry Pi cost?
It doesn't matter what it costs.
It kind of does because the components that go into it contribute to the cost.
What are you talking about?
I can assure you could probably own like 5 Raspberry Pis for the cost of my computer.
I'm not suggesting anything different.
So in terms of processing power...
I'm not about processing power.
Then what are you talking about? It can do it more efficiently.
I'm saying...
Just because you get to use the fun Nintendo controller?
No, what I'm saying is it already has like 5 different emulators on there with multiple games that's already preloaded. So that I've already taken the time to do that.
Yes, but perhaps I would like them on my computer where I can have them myself and where they'll be recorded easier.
Sure, but that's okay. That's not certainly easier. You'll have to actually
I'll have to set it up, but that's not a problem. I would set it up for stuff I wasn't going to record because I want to play old stuff anyways. I'm just saying that we
have to rectify the fact that you have not played the original.
I don't know that I want to go back to the original because I've seen the original and
it's good.
I would rather go back to the ones that are like unequivocally good, like Symphony of the Night and the SNES era ones. Because those are the ones that interest me. Oh, that's where the panel's right by the door.
I think you still need to play the original.
Well, I probably should, and if just for completeness' sake. But if you go for completeness' sake, there's like 12 of those. More than probably. Really? Castlevania's gone on for a long time. I mean, most of them aren't good these days.
What consoles were they on? Was it just PC?
I knew the... Okay, so the camera pans far enough to see me. Like I think they even had Castlevania games on the Xbox, on the 360 even. Like I think they made them.
Fact, I didn't know that.
On the original Xbox at least, I know they went for that long. They've been around a long time, and most of them once they went to 3D, basically everyone agrees they went to pot.
Huh.
I think am I actually on my way to the top room?
Kind of suffered a little bit from the Metroid thing, I think.
Well, I've heard good things about some of the Metroids that were 3D, although some of them are also not as good. But like I've heard the Primes are pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's an inherent flaw of 3D. I think it was just they were made by studios that were only making them because they were a big name. But I'm curious enough. I like the show. I mean, that seems like a low bar, but it's interesting enough. I mean, the lore, from what I gather, the lore of the show is still accurate to the greater universe or however it is. This is a long elevator. I think I actually am already up at the penthouse, so we might We didn't struggle nearly as much on this as we did in the Chinese capsule hotel.
That's because it was the Chinese capsule hotel.
Well, this is also a Chinese medical lab. I mean...
So what we found is that there is better security in a capsule hotel.
Well, no, that wasn't the security. That was, if anything, it was the lack of security that we were struggling with. Now, I remember the resulting fight, though. So it's entirely possible that oh boy, I am so out of everything. I'm out of all my ammo. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so this is going to make this hard, if only because I got nothing to fight with. Because I know that this is going to be a tough fight that breaks out in a minute. Where's the people in charge here?
Who is in charge here?
Claw. Are you the proprietor? Alrighty, I'm probably not going to do well at this, but whatever. So I maintain if there's truly... The question is, I don't even know how I would look this up. Like, how could I look up... It's almost, I feel like I would have to look up non-scary horror game in order to get what I'm looking for. And that feels like not exactly what I want. But, like... Because it's not... I think there's an element of... I may make it... There is an element of the non-scariness where it's like... Yes, it's frightening, but not scary.
I'm going to argue that there are parts of Amnesia that pulled that off okay.
Yes, but I think certain parts of Amnesia were also heavily in the thriller, where it's like you're being chased by a thing you don't see.
They were, but I'm just saying, like, that. There was that one guy that we were talking to that was like, ew, what are you... Like, he was kind of hanging on the wall, half dead.
I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember much. That's the problem with that game in retrospect, is I don't feel like I remember much of what actually happened in it.
Oh, well.
Because I felt like a lot of it was...
Good for you.
Traversing...
What
I have no clue. I'm assuming, well, let's postulate. I see tubes. This could be a form of nouveau riche spacesuit. Or, far more frighteningly, this has purposes elsewhere.
Wow.
I'm just saying, there's...
Yeah, it does have a slit down the back, so...
And it's form-fitting, and it covers the face. I'm just saying, there's potential I don't want to explore. I don't have ammo for this resulting fight, and that worries me. But I am going to bluster forth with the confidence of something that's highly confident. Oh. Is she having a... Oh, well, this is hardly very clever.
Nice place you got here.
What?
I didn't mean to attempt to kill you. I just ran up with a gun.
Reed? I don't know.
Stop lying, Sal. I know you kidnapped her and her team. I know you're out to destroy Seraph Industries.
Sarah?
I also know you're working with that son of a bitch who left me to die. So where's Megan?
No, you got it wrong. You think I'm behind it all, but I'm not. I'm just like you. The hired help.
You're the head of a billion-dollar mega corporation.
And you think that...
And she's awfully handsy.
These men, they're bigger than Sarah.
These men, they're bigger than Seraph. They're not
But
big
not as big as
They're
you.
not as big as you. Let me just feel those up for a second. Would you like me to put on my outfit?
Oh, I know you were wondering what it's for. I can show you so many things.
They control global interests at a whim.
Okay, this is a longer cutscene than I remember.
And the implants couldn't be...
She's lying to us, by the way. She's claiming that she's a pawn, and she is not. Because why else would she be this antsy?
Please.
Of course, we having our gonads removed and replaced with
Surely you come from...
Brass.
grenades.
Brass
We're
grenades.
immune to these kinds of hormonal tactics.
We do not know of these names of which you speak.
Men never fail to underestimate.
Which is
What?
not true, because that whole time I was thinking she's lying, but... Okay, this is going to be very tough, because there's a whole load of dudes, and I am very poorly equipped. And that should have been a headshot, but it weren't. That was, though. I think there's only two big heavy fellas, and I've only got one shot left. Ah!
And he made his shot true.
Alright, well, I think we can at least skip the cutscene if it happens again, because this is going to be the fight that we get stuck in for a while. So, yeah, like, I don't feel like I can just go to Reddit and be like, hey, can I have some horror movies that aren't scary? Because people are just going to be like, you're in the wrong place, pal. But I mean, I don't want to have to go through this whole explanation, too, and write a 3-paragraph essay about, like, this is what I mean when I say horror movies that aren't scary. Because I think there's a difference between frightening and scary. Or maybe I'm being too semantic. But, like, oh, you're going to have to skip the cutscene again. Because, again, I feel like scary is more the immediate threat and, like, heart-pounding, I gotta get out of here because I'm about to die type thing. I feel like frightening is more of the kind of unsettling, leaves you kind of shaken. And I'm okay with being left shaken. I don't care to be, I don't need to be induced into a panic. Because that's why I actually didn't even really enjoy Amnesia at first when I first started playing it. Because I felt that was sometimes more of what it was. It was just like, panic, run, you're in danger, and then it wasn't. And then it's again, cycles of tension and release, which I get, that's useful. But
it's also
not
a
fan
manipulative way.
Yeah, it is a way of like, we're just gonna frazzle your emotions by going through this safe and not safe.
It's manufacturing something versus saying this is genuinely
scary. Because again, some people like that. Some people like thriller movies for the sake of like, I've got an adrenaline rush, and I'm just not one of those people. If you can implant an image that's like, I'm now thinking of this, I'm affected by this this unsettling narrative that sort of sticks with you. Because I don't think thrillers stick with you. Like, you can't watch. I'd save the snipers for the heavies. Like, once you watch a thriller movie once, you know what's going to happen, and then it's not going to be that scary anymore. Whereas I would wager that a horror movie will always be scary. If it's well done. He was running at an angle. Well, you can't be so narrow focused on one guy that you're going to let the rest of them shoot you. What are your thoughts? Because you and I have a similar sort of...
I agree. I actually
macabre...
Yeah, that's the word.
Intrigue.
I enjoy dark kind of thematic elements without it being gory
that's
also,
certainly I think the lowest bar in horror.
Right. There's a bit of a
just like, ew, isn't this gross? Don't like you feel cringy?
It's like a gradient of like gory through now it's jump scare kind of tactics all the way then into actual like that's just sick that someone would do that. Case in point, don't judge me. I've not seen this movie, but I think it's a great example of something that is dread heavy.
Well, then how can you know?
Just because thematically it evokes, even just the thought of it evokes kind of like that.
I am so
is the human centipede.
No, gore entirely. That is entirely based on, isn't this gross?
No.
Absolutely. Have you actually read the plot of this?
It's like a sick, twisted scientist that
literally
a ton of people together.
The whole thing of it is, isn't this gross? That could be the synopsis. The plot there's literally no plot other than, isn't this gross? Like, literally, it's not like he's trying to succeed at something. It's like, no, he's just doing it because he's freaked out it's the whole thing is, ew, isn't this creepy? Let's get some creepy close-ups on their horrific form. And it's like, no, that's just gross. The whole thing is meant to be gross. That's not dread. That's just, you're sick because this is gross. And that whole franchise is stupid. There's more than one.
There's multiples? I didn't know that.
I think there's at least 2, and the second one's even worse than the first because it references its own stupidity.
Is there a way I can
I think you have to double tap
the breathing.
I think because you're standing. I think if you were crouching, but the problem is there's a railing in the way. And I think they take double shots anyways. I really don't think we're gonna get out of this with the weapons we have. Or not the weapons is the problem, the ammo lack that we are currently facing. So
no, I totally agree. I'm trying to give example even of movies that I enjoy that are more macabre. I can't.
I'll tell you what I'm disappointed by, because I thought this was going to be a similar thing, because it was another video essay about a movie that I thought sounded like, oh, maybe this will be what I'm talking about, this sort of dread thing. It's called, I think it came out recently, it's called Hereditary. And it's basically, it starts where it's this sort of dysfunctional family. It seemed at first, I was like, okay, it's a dysfunctional family that is sort of torn apart by the grief of losing one of their children. And it seemed as though it was going to be like a super psychological horror thing, like it was just going to be all interpersonal drama and grief and tragedy and that kind of thing. Which, I mean, again, perhaps that, I don't know what that says about me that would intrigue me, but then as it went on, it's like, oh, and then there's some sort of supernatural element, and then there's this weird cult that's involved. I'm like, well, that just ruined it, because now you've taken what is actually something that happens in the world.
Right.
I mean, granted, cults exist and things like that, but like it's far more universal to explore things like grief and how it can weigh on people and tear people apart.
Well,
it's like that. I can see that because that's more accessible, but like, oh, it was an evil cult the whole time. It's like, well, how many people have daily interactions with evil cults? You're gonna have to double tap him. I mean, I kind of call BS when I can punch him once and knock him out, but I have to double tap him with a high-powered rifle, but whatever. So they're gonna come up behind you, and they're not gonna be nice.
That's why we're gonna have to go ahead of them.
You're gonna have to be equally not nice. Here's something that just occurred to me.
It just occurred to you? And it's a separate topic entirely?
No, it's in the game. I feel like when I played this, I felt like I was more leveled up at this point, which makes me wonder, when was the last time we leveled up?
What if we have all these...
Because I felt like, I'm thinking, what did I do last time? I used all of these level up abilities I have. I was like, wait, do we not have those? Or have we just been leveling up exceptionally stupidly? I put all my points into Boingo knees, and now I can't fight.
I want a pogo.
I just wanted Boingo knees. What can I do to upgrade me bod? Where's me bodkin? 4? Well, what do I need? What will help me in this? I don't think I have the ammo for this, though. I mean, that could certainly come in handy in this fight. I just don't know if I have the ammo for it. I wonder, does it come with 1 free first use ammo? Because that would be really great, but I'm getting a batteries not included vibe. That just stabilizes aim. That feels cheap, but that just raises our... I know I had this at one point, the ability to hide and cloak. Because I think the way I used this is you basically went back and forth across the room and you got sniper shots off, but we don't have that much ammo, so I'm not sure we can rely on the sniper scoper. Reflex, I already have that. Smart vision, see through walls. I don't think any of these are going to be very helpful to us. Except for maybe this, but that's dependent on the idea that it would actually have... ammo with it. I mean, this is the obvious choice, just to allow us to take a few more hits, but... Well... I mean, I guess we could... I'll see what this does at first, because I want to at least see if it does come with ammo. If it doesn't, I will probably undo this decision.
At one point you were talking about life sustaining itself just for the purpose of sustaining itself. I can't remember what you were... It was...
That's awfully absurdist of me.
Well, no, it was within the context of what you were talking about with the dread notion.
Was I saying it just... You mean like just now?
No. It was earlier in the conversation.
It does! It gives me 1 free... It's funnier that it's... It's funny that it just appears in a package next to me. Why couldn't they have loaded it for me?
Here you go.
It's just... Because that raises so many logistical questions.
Some guy just...
The guy from the clinic snuck in and went, I can tell you're in a bit of a scrap. Here, take this.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I had actually come across a art piece that I felt like you would appreciate.
Is it Bekshinsky? I love Bekshinsky.
Okay.
We've talked about Beksinski before, haven't we? I know I have.
That's great.
Well, because I think it's a similar thing. It's his work is interesting not because it's an inherently grotesque. I mean, some of it is, but most of it is just super bizarre, and it gives you this sort of like something's not right about this.
No, I assure you,
and
this was not. This is more of an emotive kind of experiential thing. I think that
painting.
you would actually. No, it wasn't a painting. It was an art piece.
Well, like a statue or what?
No, so it was this
Is it
guy.
modern art?
No, this guy designed. Well,
Is it performance art?
no. Maybe it's this guy designed a
Guy set himself
robot.
on fire outside.
No. This guy
Is it the
designed a
robot that
leaks?
tries to clean itself while it dies?
That's fascinating to me. I was like, that's
really fascinating
compelling.
Conceptually. I do think
It's compelling because if you watch it, it's like, wow, okay.
But I think, it lasted for like 5 years, so no one who went and saw it just once got it's more of the idea that is interesting,
right?
Like
but
the
I'm
whole
saying,
life cycle of the thing, rather than
well,
I
the
feel
fact
like if
that
you
it
just
could
saw
wave
it,
if it is able to, but it's like that ended up expending more hydraulic fluid, and so it's like, well, I'm gonna have to continue to just survive.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
a
mean,
little
I
bit
think
like
the statement of it.
it's very much the human experience. I feel like.
Well, that's a little bit bleak, but okay.
It's like I don't have time to do anything interesting because I gotta survive.
I just know they're going to come up.
It's certainly how we get to when we
well,
are
it's
in
a
moments of crisis.
Well, yeah, and a traumatic response. Boom! See, that should have killed him.
A dramatic response boom.
That was my trauma response. That would have been the alternate robot. Is as it's dying, it just sets light to the entire gallery. If I'm going down, you're going down with me.
That's it gained AI consciousness.
Well, here's the real question: is what do you think?
Where's my creator?
What do you think of the AI art thing that's been developed recently?
Are you talking about that weird?
It's the weird
robot that talks to the.
It's not a robot. It's I think an internet. It's like it's a website actually where you type in a phrase and it will generate an image. That is. I don't know what the process is like. I think it has something to do with. It will peruse all the various image tags for every word in it, and will create some kind of a composite based off of what the most frequent search results are.
Line them up.
But I think there is some element of
Rack them up.
well, that was his fault for not looking, but it was your fault for not reloading first. You had like four bullets in there,
and I put them all into his chest.
Yes, but he survived a shotgun blast. It can't be 4. It's got to be the whole clip. This is why I don't think we're making it out of this, because I think we just literally on a matter of logistics we don't have the bullets. And I don't think we have got the ability to just punch people. Oh, I forgot. We need to do the upgrades because at least I get one free Typhoon pack, whatever it's called. But yeah, I'm curious about it because some of the images that it generates, I'm like, this certainly is an interesting thing to look at. But I'm not sure that if I saw this in a gallery, I would be like wowed by it. Because they do. The thing that I find interesting about it is the people who have taken song lyrics. And they will overlay the lyrics of the song with... I don't know why. I should have probably not started. I should have done this first. But I'm going to do it now just because I realized I need to do this first. So I'm going to get this. That's going to give me 1 use. And then I'll upgrade some of my skin. And let us hope to sweet goodness... I don't have ammo space! Oh no! What do I not need? I need all of this. I don't need machine pistol ammo. Drop that. I don't have a machine pistol. Please tell me that's enough. Oh! Woo! Now how do I use this? Okay, so I think it's a natural. The trouble is, hang on, I need to actually look up what's the activation for this. I don't even know how to use this. I've just implanted explosives in my body and I don't know how to use them. Alright, so it takes up 1 energy cell, it's manual. Take down human adversaries at close range. That doesn't tell me how to activate it, guys.
Killing all friends and family. Ha!
What?
Never mind. It was a modified Grinch quote that you missed?
Well, because you gotta actually... I have to at least evoke the original enough that I can get where you're coming from. I need to know how this works, guys. Maybe it's contextual, because it says it's a manual activation, so I'm hoping if I'm in the middle of a bunch of guys, I'll get the button that says send them my way.
Almost heaven, about to blow ya.
You can't say that!
No!
Well, you gotta think about your words!
Oh dear, that's not what I meant.
I'm gonna let you dig your way out of that grave.
I'm not even gonna try digging anything anymore.
No grave gonna hold you down for sure.
Wow!
So yeah, AI art. I think the videos were interesting because they actually will overlay the song with the image generated for the lyrics that are being sung at the moment. So then it's interesting because you can kind of hear the interpretation of the lyrics. So then you get it evokes more from the art, but I feel like that's giving it the most.
Well, that's at that point experiential.
Well, yeah, and that is giving it a boost. Like the art isn't exactly speaking for itself in that instance.
Sure.
I did it again. I need to do this first, but whatever. Maybe this won't even help me. This might not even help me because it's only one use and it seems somewhat finicky, but this didn't seem to help either, but whatever, we're going to try it. I am going to attempt not to die. We're coming up the other side. Dadgummit. Well, actually, that might be of...
No, I found that...
Whee! That's what should happen! That guy read the memo. Oh crap, there's another biggie. Well, I suppose this will be the time to use my... bombs.
And that did nothing at all.
Well, I was hoping a contextual prompt would show up because, again, the game has yet to tell me how to do it. Press the button to set off your bombs. Just a button, any button.
Probably
belly
B.
button.
Probably B.
Oh, boy. Well, you want to give it one more go?
I will attempt.
I'll do that. So, yeah, I don't know. The AI art scene. Because some of them are kind of creepy, so it is a bit of an interesting, like, oh, how did a computer come up with that?
Oh, speaking of which, and we can connect this back to horror. There's a new horror film that's out that has to do with this AI that ends up... It's a bit of a... I know it's been done before with things like iRobot and what's the other weird one?
I don't know.
But this one's a little bit more creepy looking.
I've not been seeing anything of this sort, so what is it? Reload it before you try it because you only got 4 bullets.
What?
I'm just saying, we're going to want more than 4 to take the guy out, whoever he is! Take him!
Are you
freaking
kidding
You can't
me?
just stop when you think he should be dead. You have to stop when he is
over.
dead. No, he did. He sort of reacted. He was still standing. What do you... Finish your thought. I'm at least going to upgrade and then save so we don't have to do it every time. But
So, what should I go with that? Yeah.
I don't know. AI robots, horror movies.
Not the horror film deal, but the...
What? I thought that's what you were talking about.
Well, I mean, I just thought it was interesting. Basically, it was a very creepy AI that was made for the...
I haven't seen any such things. So
well,
I
it's
have no
out there.
Well, but you have to describe it in a way
I
that
am
will
going
help
to describe it.
You said you were about to move on.
No, it's this scientist that literally makes it, or I guess robotics engineer that makes it for her daughter to have a friend, and then it like ends up trying to kill the family or something. But then I go, it's funny because I actually made this comment when there was a legitimate AI that was released for your kids.
You say that, but was it released or was it like one of these promotional?
No,
like,
it was not a
we're working on.
No. This was like an actual product that you can buy to date. I think it's like an absurd
did you
cost.
actually
It's like
did you look that up and confirm that it is actually for sale?
I certainly did. Yes.
From who?
It
just online somewhere.
Yeah,
how does that verify?
I will pull it up for you.
I would rather. Okay.
The point is,
I don't actually care that much about it.
Well, if you're gonna make me defend myself, but it literally teaches your kid like basic social
I forgot!
skills.
Darn it! I saved before. I should have. I don't have actually my typhoons loaded.
And
Give me the stuff.
it's a weird. What happened is it was a weird. No, but it's like the first thing I said when I looked at it was, okay, that's creepy that it's taking over the responsibility of what our parents should be doing.
Okay,
Which
that's
we've
a
all-
lot of guys. I would love to use my typhoon.
What?
Tell me
is
how
that?
to use it, game. Oh, it's a D-pad. Okay, the D-pad does it. Well, I would have liked to know that first.
But it's it's something that I go. It's probably been a long time coming because we've let a lot of things recently in society raise our kids when it comes to technology. But the fact that this is
Started
so,
in 1860 with the federal school system.
but I mean, this is so on the nose that it's like, okay, here's what we're gonna learn today. This is our mission and objective. It's like, okay, you're talking to a robot
Mission
when you
objective:
should be
eat bugs.
when you
Kill
should be
squirrels.
when you should be talking to your parents.
Well.
And then I did actually make the joke. I said, "This is our mission objective for today: take out the parental units." It's like, and this is kind of what the plot of this particular horror film is, and I thought it was
Well, it doesn't.
funny.
But see, again, is it again? That sounds like
That
it's not going to be a
sounds
horror
very-
film.
no,
that
that
sounds like it's
sounds
going to be a
very-
thriller. Stupid.
Yeah. It's certainly not going to be a dread type.
Because I mean, depending on your definition, you could even call something like 2001: Space Odyssey a horror film. If you're being true by the definitions, the triple I think we're going to have is just the definitions are so set the way they are. I don't think we're going to change them. I don't think you're going to be able to convince people, no, we should stop calling them horror films and call them this and then call these things horror films instead. I think we just are going to have to settle for a subgenre.
Well, which is
'Cause at
what
least
you
it
have
needs a
with
name.
slasher or thriller or those types.
Well,
of
no, because the things that I'm referring to don't yet have one. What? Oh, I haven't opened fire yet, so they don't know where I am. This... Well... I don't think I have any more energy. If I had some energy things, I would use them. This calls itself an energy pack, but it doesn't actually allow me to use it in any way. Ammunition? What? Okay.
blame Bubsome synthetic
I was
groups.
thinking this whole time that was like a big version of the small bars that I could use, and I was thinking maybe would this like give me all my energy at once?
Just picturing him like eating black powder, like
Just chinking battery acid. Hey, look at, I mean, it looks like he probably could. I mean, who knows what all... What? Well, they were clever.
well.
think I've at least leveled up myself.
Remarks?
I just think we need... What would you call it? Because I don't think that because you could call it Lovecraftian horror, but I feel like that's a little bit too specific, because I think everything he did would fit, but not everything... It's a square rectangle scenario. It's one is
right.
One is always the other, but the other is not always the one. But I don't know. I mean, psychological horror is already a genre.
I think that's probably
the closest thing. But I don't know what actually is in that genre yet, and whether or not it applies. So I
would
know.
argue that that's probably the genre you need to explore first before you
I suppose
create an entirely new subcategory.
I'll just go on Reddit and write a big full essay, and then everyone will agree with me.
Is that what happens on Reddit?
That's how the internet works. I know.